We're talking 90-second resource.
Search term brainstorm.
Phrasing.
Common pitfalls.
Search return bullseye.
All that and a good deal more after the break.
Welcome, all you beautiful people. We're talking 90-second resources. I'm Nick. That's Eric. We're the Get Good Guys.
And this is the Get Good Guide.
We're talking 90-second resources.
90 seconds.
You can get a lot done in 90 seconds.
You would be surprised. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a shockingly reasonable amount of time to do something.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about 90 seconds is just how wild it is. Like, if we were to sit here in silence
for 90 seconds,
yeah, a majority of people would assume that something was wrong with their radio, with their Bluetooth, with their phone, with their headphones, whatever it might be.
One, go. Ready, set, go.
That would be. There was some story about, I forget who, comedian in the 90s, I think, was auditioning for Saturday Night Live, and someone had told them that Lorne Michaels, if you just went to your audition and sat there and just stared at them in silence, that Lorne Michaels would have no choice but to hire you.
No way.
Yeah,
crazy.
And a couple people said they almost they just couldn't bring themselves to do it. 90-second resources. What do we mean when we talk about this, right? What is it? This is a foreign concept, I think, for most people to sort of say, to be told, hey, look, go do your research. You got a minute and a half.
Yeah, I think, again, we talk often about the conventional wisdom that we kind of butt up against, right? Very, very often. And I think the term research or resource feels like you should be digging your heels in, right? Sure. You should be getting into something.
Right.
Really what we want to accomplish is getting some information very, very quickly,
right,
very efficiently, and very purposefully, right? Something very specific that we're trying to find.
Yeah. Right. And it takes a little bit of doing to be able to do that. Right, you got to. The unit itself is not designed to take 90 seconds.
Right,
it is a mindset about the resource and about the sort of process that you're gonna follow.
Yeah, and the idea being that once you've done this unit, right, we have callbacks to it for sure, and you'll repeat this unit a few times.
Yeah, both in phase 2 and in phase 3.
But the main idea is that once you've accomplished one or two or a few of these units, you can start to think about all your resources this way, or whether it's for your specific get good goal or something else, right? Anything in your daily life. Even we were just talking about this evening, right? Of trying to figure out some things for the podcast, and let's chat about it. Let's figure this out. When you know what? Let's look it up.
Right.
3 seconds later, we have the best answer possible.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, it is. We are very much in the information revolution, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you notice, if you've heard about this hip new thing called I believe I'm pronouncing this correctly, internet.
Whoa.
Could be long E, could be interneat.
Interneat.
Because it is neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, this idea that we have, and it's not all signal. There's noise, right? There's noise, but that's kind of the point here.
That's the whole thing, right? That's the whole point.
Is how do you cut through that noise in a hurry? And you don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You got to be
That's the beauty of 90 seconds.
That's the beauty of 90
right?
seconds.
At worst, you've wasted 90 seconds.
Right. Yeah. This goes completely sideways, and you go, well, that was a lost minute and a half of my life. But it's not 90 minutes or 9 hours. Right.
Yeah, and also, honestly, if you're doing the unit, right, if you've done the unit, it's not going to be a loss of 90 seconds, even if it's not what you expected, because it's going to help you calibrate for your next 90 seconds.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So the unit itself, right, again, not an audiobook, but just to run you through it, it's a pretty simple set of exercises. It's really about the mindset that you go in with it. The exercises are not wildly novel. It begins with a brainstorm of search terms so that you actually have thought through and you don't find yourself Googling or whatever, Binging. I don't know what search engine you're using. But you in the unit, you're brainstorming these search terms, and then you're taking a purposeful look at them and saying, what am I actually trying to get at here? Right. And then pulling 3 of those down to the next set of exercises.
Yeah. And we have, throughout the unit, we have a handful of little notes about paid ads and about possible pitfalls and these sorts of things, which we'll get into a little bit. I have a feeling we'll get into some of those a little bit deeper in the Patreon.
To be sure, absolutely. And so that's where we kind of get to the search return bullseye, which is where we begin sifting. Right, we begin sifting, and there are sort of 3 do's and 2 do not do's of the search return bullseye. The 3 do's, right? Open links in a new tab, for crying out loud. Yeah, this one is harder to do. The second do: keep your browsing/reading under 15 seconds per return.
It's tough.
You fire up that new tab with that new link, 15 seconds max. Be disciplined. Glance, right? Scan. And then get back to one level up, right?
Well, and that's tough, especially if you feel like this is what I want to look at. This is it.
Right.
This is the resource I want. Beautiful. Take note of that bad boy.
Yep, absolutely. Read no more than 6 returns in any given search. What's the joke about the second page of Google is where you hide what you want no one to find?
Right.
There's a lot to be said for that, right? If it's not within the first 6 returns, either your phrasing is wrong,
sure,
or misguided,
not ideal, yeah,
suboptimal. Or you're probably repeating, right?
Right.
And then the do not do's, the avoids, right? Avoid rabbit holes about narrower and narrower subjects. I cannot tell you how many times I have fallen victim to this.
It's almost impossible not to. It becomes interesting, right? It becomes interesting to see and to watch, and it regardless of interesting, it's easy.
Yeah.
It just I'm going to sit here and look at one more thing. I'm going to sit here. Now, it's easy because that's how it's made to be easy.
Yep.
Right. That's the whole point.
Well, and the algorithms, the self-reinforcing algorithms provide you that much more. And then there is neurologically, we'll talk about this maybe more extensively on the Patreon, but there is a dopamine drip, man, to getting those rabbit holes going and falling deep inside. I have watched so many guys do fiberglass work on their boats.
Oh yeah.
It's unbelievable. And then of course the last, avoid jumping into a resource before you complete the unit. Right. Finish it out. You've done some of the works. You've done the returns, but you got your bullseye here. What are your best resources? What are your near hits? And what are your check these laters? Right. Get those written in. Get those going, and that way you can be efficient with these 90 seconds. Tell us a little bit, Nick, how we kind of came to this structure, because we do use this numeric structure in a lot of places in the guide. Right? 90 seconds, 9 minutes, 90 minutes, 9 hours.
What we found that you run into very often is that if it's 60 seconds, if it's a minute, right, it's not specific enough.
Right.
You're going to end up with stuff that ends up being 2 minutes or less, right? 30 seconds or 45 seconds. 90 seconds is very, very specific, and it's going to help your brain to stick much, much closer to that pin, essentially.
We notice also that while it's not like an order of magnitude, it's not a base 10 thing, because time is not base 10. It's sort of base 24-ish. There's a nice history with the Babylonians on that. But it made sense to us, right? There was a huge leap between the process of a 90-second resource and a 9-minute resource.
Oh, for sure.
And there, as opposed to the leap between, say, 2 minutes and 7 minutes, or even a wider leap, like 5 minutes and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And so that was a real difference when we were looking at that.
Yeah, and even with those examples, those are very easy to guesstimate, right?
Numbers,
very easy to guesstimate of this is about 5 minutes.
Right.
We were talking about this. I think did we talk about this in the other Patreon episode about I'll be 5 minutes late.
Yeah,
means I'm in the car or
right.
Is much kind of common slang almost, right? Accepted vernacular for, hey, I'm running late, or I haven't left the house.
Yeah, some indeterminate amount of time that we sort of both understand versus this sort of this base 9 or this 90 seconds, 9 minutes, 90 minutes. That is a very different kind of mindset. Yeah. It's very intentional, which is so much of what we're always trying to achieve within the guide. The guide, if you had to make the guide a word long, it would just be intention in all capital letters.
I wasn't sure if you're going to go be intentional, kind of like our acronym, but
like the acronym, yeah. Absolutely. All right, friends, we're going to respect the clock here because this is all about that. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate you. Well, gee, thanks, everybody. We do appreciate you taking so much time with us. Ideally, it was an efficient, effective use of that time, just like the 90-second resource. If you have a chance and you'd like to support this guide of ours, the Get Good Galaxy, then filled with so many people making so many efforts to get good. There's any number of ways you can do that. You can always head over to the Patreon, patreon.com/getgoodguide, or even easier, you could just scroll on down to those links in the show notes. See if there's any services that make sense. Maybe you heard about them in the ad breaks. Or what really would help us out is to leave a review. Maybe you want to give 5 stars. I think anything less than that, and maybe keep it to yourself. Thank you so much, my friends. And if you stick around after this break, you'll find a little baby nugget. A little bit of that sweet, sweet Get Good gold. As always, I'm Eric. That's Nick. We're the Get Good guys.
And this is the Get Good Guide.
It's all there.
It's all happening. It's all
happening.